Okay, here we go. So what I have here is I have a table that I made for doing logs on. It's 2x8s. There's some 1/4-inch plywood. Over at Menards they got pre-cut plywood, so I made a table 2 feet long because I generally try to get about 4 foot long on the logs. And then I went over to Northern Tool and I bought the wheels to spin the logs on. And then everything else was based on the 2x2 plywood that I cut. So I made this one 6 feet long, this table, because I move it, you know, and I'm going back to the homestead there. I'm doing it at my house, you know, so I did that to take it back and forth. So you could, at 6 feet long, you could put it in a lot of cars or whatnot. So the reason I went with 2x8s is so I could put my supplies down below here and roll the logs back and forth, and they won't get in the way. So the equipment you need, what I have here is I have an electric fry pan. My experience, I found this to be better. I started off with a little crock pot and it just did not hold the heat. And it was hard to get the wax hot enough to put on the logs. So I'll show you, walk through that later. This is an angle grinder. Right away I jumped into the angle grinder when I started doing this. They're cheap. You can, of course, they're now cheaper than a drill bit, putting it in your own drill that you already own. But it's reasonable. I forget, this whole setup here was maybe 50 bucks. I don't recall off the top of my head. If you go to Field and Forest Products website, you'll probably get the exact price. I know you'll get the exact price. So I got the angle grinder here. It's a high-speed grinder, and then these are high-speed bits, and it makes it much faster to zip out a log and drill all the holes you need to drill in it. Right now I'm in the thought process is that I'm going to put more holes versus less holes. I know some people will get a protractor out and they'll draw out this and they'll measure from here to here, and they talk about this diamond pattern, and they do it. The grain of the wood runs from top to bottom, so when you tighten up the rows along the length of the log, you're better guarantee you're going to have a better mycelium run versus having wider rows and having the wooden dowels closer together this way. So check it out. I'm going to start drilling.
Thanks for showing up today. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure you really enjoyed it. So this is part one in a series of how to grow your own shiitake mushrooms, and it's important that we specify the species of mushroom because it does have some medicinal benefits for you. You can go online and look them up, but I will tell you it lowers your blood cholesterol, and it also has some immune properties, just as a quick overview of the mushroom. Plus they're really tasty. So today we plugged the mushrooms. I used an angle grinder and 2 bits that I bought from Field and Forest Products. That goes fast compared to a home drill, but you can certainly use a home drill. And then of course we had the size that was set up for using hardwood dowel plugs. I use those because to me it's cheaper, because you don't have to have the little plungy thing to put the sawdust spawn in, and then you're not going to get any repetitive injury from jamming that tool into the sawdust to try and pack it full. So thanks for showing up. Look for the next groups, the next series. Then we're going to show you actually plugging the logs. We're going to show you waxing the logs, and then we'll bring you into stacking the logs and leaving them sit for a period of time so that the mycelium run can happen. And then generally for me, because I'm doing all of this outside, if I plug the logs this spring, next spring/summer is when I bring them into the fruiting phase. Some people speed the process up by keeping the log warm over winter, but not letting it dry out, and then they can go right into fruiting that next season right away. Incidentally, my very first group of logs I did in the winter time, and I left them out in the woods sitting, and they naturally fruited that fall because we had a ton of rain come through, which was interesting to me. That meant to me that the logs are ready to go. So please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Show them what you want to do, and get out there and do something. It's great being outside. It's a great activity, and also can save you some money.